Most people try cold email and fail. They get no replies, their messages land to a spam folder, and they waste weeks trying random tools without a real system. Today, I am going to show you the exact play and Smartlead blueprint that took us from 0 to plus 10K per month. By the end of this video, you will know how to copy it step by step for your own business. To make it super clear, I've mapped everything out inside a Miro board. Every step, every setting, and every tool we use. And this isn't just theory. I'll guide you through exactly how to set it up inside Play and Smartlead. From the big strategy down to the tiny details that make campaigns actually work.
At the beginning, even reaching 10K per month felt impossible. It was a number we thought was out of reach. But after building our system with Clay and Smartlead, everything changed.
For example, Maiso grew revenue by 40% with rich flow in just 1 year.
And another client closed 400K euros and built almost 1 million in pipeline in just 6 months. In total, last year, we've generated more than 3,000 meetings, and on average, we have a 9% reply rate in all our campaigns.
So this is the index of the blueprint, and it's not about sending more emails because everybody says just send more emails. Yeah, but let's talk about what really means just send more emails. I mean, this is about building a process that turns data into raw opportunities. That's the main thing that we need to focus on. So the first thing that we are going to explain in this video is capture. We need to capture the leads, and the best platform that they are not complex and they are easy to use are Apollo and LinkedIn. This is everything you need to create great cold email campaigns. Of course, you can get more data from any other provider with advanced scraping techniques, but this, if you want to start, is more than enough. Then we are going to enrich everything with Clay. Clay is a software that allows you add a lot of signals like hiring, funding, tech stack, social, activity, etc. And then we're gonna prioritize, but not only, because if your total addressable market is just 3,000 companies, you don't need to prioritize because you are going to contact all of them. You need to prioritize when your time is huge, let's say more than 20,000 rows. Then is when it's important to prioritize, because if you are doing also LinkedIn campaigns, it's not as scalable as cold email. So here as well makes a lot of sense to prioritize which leads do you want to push to your LinkedIn campaigns. And then we are going to talk about personalization. With Clay, again, I will talk about how we do it inside Richflow. And finally, automate with Smartlead, sending safely at scale. Smartlead is the only sequencer we use at Richflow for cold email, and I will explain later how do we have everything set up inside Smartlead. So let's start. To scale safely, you need first of all infrastructure. And when we say infrastructure, I mean that you need to buy secondary domains and assign mailboxes to these new secondary domains, so your main domain is not at risk. I've seen lots of clients that all internal emails are landing into a spam folder because they have sent thousands of cold emails without following the best practices, and they are landing in spam because their domain has been blacklisted. So how are we setting up all the mailboxes? We use 2 mailboxes per domain, and we are sending max 20 cold emails per day per mailbox. And of course, we are doing a gradual wrap up during the warm-up phase. Super important at least 2 weeks of warm-up. Then this is what I was talking about, secondary domains. 10 secondary domains allows you to have 20 mailboxes, and with 20 mailboxes you can send 400 emails per day. And if your copy is personalized, and of course your list is a really good list, is enough to have good results with cold email. Super important once you buy secondary domains to set up the DMARC, SPF, and DKIM records. And of course, this is something that we are using always, the smart servers inside Smartlead, that I will talk about them, and also the smart servers. This allows us, once we turn on campaigns, to have better results in terms on deliverability and landing directly into the inbox. And also we use the SmartDelivery test. Every time turn on campaigns, we have here that let us know which mailboxes are performing better, which mailboxes are going, which mailboxes we need to change, etc. So you need, once you start, buy secondary domains. You can use any provider like GoDaddy, Spaceship, Urban,
inside Smartlead, you don't need to go out. You can also use Google or Microsoft mailboxes inside the platform because you can buy there and they are delivering really, really good results. This is where the magic happens. Clay. Clay combines Apollo, LinkedIn, Buildwith, and Apify and a lot of integrations more that you can use for building your list and for making really, really good personalization in your messages. New hires, text changes, job postings, website updates, or even fundings in the last 12 or 6 months. And also with Apify, you can get really interesting information. For example, how many ad campaigns does a company have right now? So once you are inside this board, you will have access to a clay table in which you have a client, so you can verify if the domain that you import into the list is really your ICP, and more enrichments that will allow you to create really cool campaigns. And once you have the list with these first enrichments, it's time to talk about personalization, because this is something that you can do inside Clay, and once you have this, you will push all this data directly into Smartlead. We use enriched data from Clay to detect triggers like new hires, funding, job postings, or product launches, like I just said. And we always try to use this type of personalizations on the first line or at the PS line. Also, all the call to actions that we use are adapted to the lead's specific situation and role. It's super important that each call email that you send must feel human and also personalized. The prospect that is reading your message needs to see that you understand his industry. So this is super important because every prospect feels research, of course, increases open and reply rates. And I have to say that we are not tracking open rates. And super, super important, the better your message is, the less people marks you as a spam. And that means that the mailboxes and the current infrastructure that we have just created will last longer. And that is super important because it will allow you to save money. So let's talk again about the core components about a great cold email. The first line must be super short, role specific, possible, and context driven. And the call to action directly tied to the prospect's current needs or situation. And in all the cold emails that we send currently in RiskFlow, we always mention the possible pain points that the role may have, that the prospect may have. You can also create a really cool campaign with lead magnets, but if you are going to create lead magnets, it's super important to take your time, sit down, and really see what are the problems and which type of resource will really give value to your prospect. How do we make personalization? Inside this clay table, you will have a couple of enrichments with cool personalization that will allow you to have first line that are personalized and also PS lines. So we are using currently OpenAI to personalize all this type of stuff connected directly via API. We are not using clay crakes for this. Once we have the lead list ready and also the messages ready, it's time to push all the data to Smartlead. So you will see that you are not going to find all the emails because maybe some emails are not verified or just because any provider found the email from some prospects. So these leads you can push directly to LinkedIn, so you can do a multi-channel outreach. But for the emails that you are verified, super important to verify the emails. In the clay table we use also verifiers, so you can check them out. It's important to set up everything correctly inside Clay. So we don't track any open rate and also we don't track any link clicks, super important. And lastly, it's not here, but we prioritize leads that have Google Workspace. And then we contact SMTP leads and lastly Microsoft leads, because the deliverability that Google and SMTP gives us is not comparable to the Microsoft one. Okay, let's recap the full journey. First step, we capture leads inside Clay with sources like Apollo, LinkedIn, or your CRM. Step 2, we enrich and filter with signals like hiring, funding, tech changes, etc., depending on your context. Then it's time to personalize. The things we personalize the most are the first lines, the call to actions, and the PS lines. And here you will have access to a custom EPT that will create custom copies for you. You can just click here and you will receive it. Then it's the time to automate in Smartlead and push all the leads that you have enriched from Clay to Smartlead. Super important that before starting any cold email campaign, you need to have a proper warm-up done, at least 14 days, the sequences set up in place, and all the domains with all the DNS records set up. Super important, use speed tags in your sequences and always preview the messages. Every single message that you are going to send, you need to preview them. And finally, we engage, turning all this work into meetings, conversations, and close deals. And that's the full system that took us from 0 to about 10K per month. So, as a bonus, I am sharing this exact blueprint, this full Miro board with every step I've talked about, my client enrichment templates with filters, our proven cold mail custom GPT, so you can create sequences and you can get ideas with the copies that are performing the best inside our agency, and my exact Smartlead configuration, warm-up domains, revalidation, sending caps, etc. Basically, everything you need to implement this system by yourself. So if you find this valuable, subscribe, drop a comment, and you will find all the resources here. See you.
Comment video and I'll send $1.